Hello, this is Paul Check, and welcome to Spirituality or 10 Commandments. You choose Lesson 9. We're going to continue our comparison of the Christian, atheist, and Native American Indian 10 Commandments. Today we work through Commandment number 5 of these different philosophies. As with our previous lessons, I like to begin, in case this is the first clip you've seen, with our model for comparison. I reference this model to Osho, who I learned it from and expanded upon it because I think it's very beautiful and very clearly depicted. Again, the middle of love stands for zero, the absolute, or a neutral polarity. Unconditional love cannot take on any condition. A God cannot be a God with the capital letters if it can be defined in any way, shape, or form. Anything that can be defined in any way, shape, or form is essentially that of an idea, and ideas all have limitations, or we would not know what anything was. So unconditional love here is represented as the eye of the storm, or the center of all created things. I previously described L stands for desire, with a positive charge, the equivalent of a proton, VE. Negative charge, electron, will, the electromotive force, both of which move around the axle, if you will, of unconditional love, or the neutron. So all created things are essentially ensouled by unconditional love, that which allows movement to occur. In Buddhist philosophy, we could say that what people refer to as God is essentially first principle, that from which vibration or mind emerges, that which is unchanging, primordial, absolute. Sex and violence loving is I-centered or me-centered love, and it is called sex and violence love because it creates the most turbulent relationships, which is necessary for us to learn how to live in relationship to others. Pain is a very beautiful and powerful redirecting force for those that pay attention. And after we've had enough pain and challenges in our relationships with self via other, we come to realize that in order for us, we, to have better experiences in life, we need to create conditions. So we evolve into stating the conditions that are necessary for us to feel safe and secure in relationships. So that's a step inward. We relationships where we state our conditions openly and honestly typically become less turbulent. And finally, through life experience, we move closer to the center. So you can see my cursor here. I use the Dalai Lama as a representation of empathetic and compassionate love, which is love that is concerned and conscious of the needs of all living beings. And empathy and compassion, as I've stated in previous discussions, is essentially a product of wisdom, which is the product of experience, which is the product of living through the I and the we stages. So with that in mind, we will continue our comparison. So the Christian commandment number 5, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. This is a very ancient philosophy. If you study Confucianism, there's heavy emphasis on honoring the elders, the mother, the father, all your family hierarchy. This is a classic expression of anybody that emerged from a tribal consciousness. It's important to remember, if you study the history of the monotheistic religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, they're all what are sometimes referred to as desert religions because they all come from regions that are predominantly desert. And desert people at the time of the formation of these religions were nomads, nomadic people, which means they were following the meat, so to speak, constantly on the move. It was essential to honor your mother and your father because living in these type of natural conditions and tribal environments, your mother and your father carried the wisdom from their mother and father. And since it is our parents that teach us how to survive in any environment, we basically see this commandment reflecting tribal belief systems, which is to honor the mother and the father because they're the ones that teach you how to survive. So honoring your mother and your father is beautiful, but it would also be good to honor everybody, to honor life itself. Here you see it says, upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Well, that's fine, but we must remember God as an absolute God, that which cannot be put into a box of an idea, cannot be born and cannot die. God cannot create a condition, or God is not God. So to state that God is giving you is to imply that God has handed you something or given you something, when really God is essentially existence and beyond. Existence being all things that can be known. God is beyond knowing, and therefore the idea that God is giving you something reinforces the idea of a patriarchal God or a God as, which is the territory of ego. I would personally look at this and say that there are conditions, but there's a lot of empathy and compassion there. So I think there's a fair bit of wisdom available here. So let's now look at the atheist fifth commandment. Live life with a sense of joy and wonder. I think that's excellent advice, and it's our own responsibility to create our joy, and it is our own responsibility to seek wonder, to wonder what is going on when we cannot understand things. God is a wonder. God cannot be known. So when we are wondering and we enjoy wondering, it is wonderful. So I think there's a fair bit of empathy and compassion there, and one could also view that as the suggestion of a condition. To live with a sense of joy and wonder is a condition. Finally, the Native American Indian fifth commandment, give assistance and kindness wherever needed. Beautiful offering there, very much empathetic and compassionate. My only suggestion would be we must always be honest with ourselves. If we're giving assistance and kindness wherever needed to the expense of ourselves, we're essentially moving one step forward for the other and one step backward within ourselves, so there's not really any honest gain. The idea of doing good for others as a means of getting to heaven or accruing brownie points or trying to achieve rank and status has created tremendous problems in the world. I teach all PPS Success Mastery students and Czech practitioners that first we must love ourselves and nourish and care for ourselves. And once we have done that, then what is left is an authentic offering to others. That way we are not essentially working against the truth of what love really is. We're working with it. So there's an expose of commandment number 5 in the Christian, atheist, and Native American Indian philosophies. As I've stated previously, there's a number of products on my websites, many of them free, videos, articles, audios. You're free to welcome. Some of you may find my Absolute Essentials of Rumi very interesting. You can listen to the free clip called Seraphael at ppssuccess.com. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed our lesson today, and I look forward to sharing with you as we explore further in the commandments of the Christian, Native American, and atheist philosophies. Thank you. Bye-bye.